today there's a lot of talk here on the Hill about solving our energy problems. And on our side of the aisle, they did pick up on one point. It's a reasonable point, but it's almost a distraction. Because they say, you know what we need to do to solve the energy crisis is drill, drill, drill. And that's supposed to solve all the problems. Of course, you know, drilling certainly could be helpful, and if we had more oil, it could play a role. But you have to look at the cost of energy and the cost of our gasoline from a different perspective. One, the value of the dollar. The value of the dollar goes down when you print too many. When you have a foreign policy where you are motivated to do this, obviously, us going to the Middle East to protect our oil didn't work so well. Right now, it's so unstable, and with the threat that this war could spread, there's a risk premium put in there on a daily basis. So the foreign policy has pushed that cost of energy up. But then again, the value of the dollar goes down. But paying for the foreign policy in combination with the risk that we have involved, all the drilling in the world won't put, you know, value back into the dollar. We need a sound political system, sound foreign policy, sound money. In the last couple of weeks, I have been going to the floor to talk about H-Con-Res 362. Something that should not be brought to the floor. It should be defeated, but rather within a couple days, if not a week, they had 220 co-sponsors. Fortunately, though, this week I was able to quote two of the sponsors of the bill who were changing their minds because they realized it is so aggressive. It is actually literally advocating a blockade of Iran. That won't help us. To get others to realize the danger of this, and I brought this up in the committee as well as on the House floor, consider what it would be like if a foreign country, a strong government came and they were powerful enough to impose on us a restriction that we couldn't import petroleum products, that they would control all ships, boats, planes, and trains and trucks coming into our country, and all the control of the people. Now, what would we as Americans do? I bet we'd be unified and we'd want to do something about it. That's exactly what we're doing, and that's exactly what we're threatening. At the same time, we're pretending that our policy is supposed to be undermining Ahmadinejad in Iran. Well, I'll tell you what, if somebody comes and threatens us, I mean, we get unified. Just think, after 9/11, we weren't fighting among ourselves because we saw us being threatened, and it brings people together. So the dissidents in Iran right now are being hurt, and Ahmadinejad is being helped. Now, sometimes I wonder if it isn't deliberate, so that we always have an enemy out there that we have to keep the military you know, not very smart, and sometimes maybe there'll be a little bit of both. But you know, we do have the answers. We have the answers. The people have responded well to this message, much stronger than I ever believed. And the magnificent thing over the past year and a half has been the rallies, the people coming together. Because what I have found, and I see it all the time, is the message of liberty and the Constitution. It brings us together regardless of our personal beliefs. If you know and understand what the First Amendment is all about and what freedom is all about, we can take a crowd like this, and what your personal religious beliefs are not relevant. They're relevant to you and to your family, your children and all, and that's very important in what you do in your community. But in a free society, it's really not relevant. What we have to do is agree that we have freedom of choice in social behavior. And of course, there are a certain group in Congress that's a little bit better on protecting those values than others. But unfortunately, they're the same ones who think you don't have a right to spend your own money. Now, our conclusion is, and the freedom message is, in a free society, you have the right to run your own life, you have the right to earn as much money as you want, and you have the right to spend it any way you want. you can't come crawling to the government to go to your neighbor and bail you out. If you don't take care of yourself and take care of your retirement and your medical needs, you can't go to your neighbor and send the government there to bail you out. Freedom really works, and it is popular. What we're facing is that we have become a nation that has lost confidence, and I think what we're seeing here occurring here in the last year or so is our confidence is coming back.
Hell yeah!
Confidence and freedom does work, and that we don't have to depend on the government from cradle to grave. It's obvious the foreign policy is a failure. It's obvious that the Federal Reserve System is a failure. It's obvious that we shouldn't even have the IRS and the taxes that we have. Entitlement system, that's a total failure. There's only debt there. The elderly now, who have paid into the system, are starting to receive. They have an inflation rate of 10 or 12%, and they get increases in their benefits, maybe 2%. So they're losing. No wonder they feel like there's a recession going on. So if you're, and salaries under these conditions never keep up. So people are in a recession. And this country is, and it's very, very serious because not so much because we will be living beneath our means, but ultimately it means that our freedoms will be threatened, and I think that is what's happening today. Yeah. When a country lives beyond its means, it has to live beneath its means. There is a bit of payback. But if we did the right things, if we restored freedom, restored sound money, and went back to work, believe me, it wouldn't take long. We would be back on our feet in no time. But the attitude that we have perpetual bailouts, as they propose this week, you know, we're going to make ourselves... The government's going to make us safer by passing FISA so they can spy on us. And then they go and pass $300 billion, which is just a partial payment, in trying to bail out the housing market. That won't work. They don't have the money. Writing checks and sending checks out to people, say spend money and stimulate the economy. That won't work either. What will work, though, is just looking to our guideline, looking to the rule of law, and get individuals, men and women of character up here that will stand on principle and vote only for the Constitution. One of the disturbing things that occurred during the campaign, and this did happen, you know, on occasion in the debates. There was one particular debate out in Iowa held by the taxpayers and also a Christian group. And I have rather strong identification with both, but I was excluded. And yeah, we did have a rally next door that was bigger than their rally. So. But I have come to the conclusion that there were some evangelicals that would not endorse the foreign policy of non-intervention. It was very disturbing to me to confront in an intellectual and a political way to you know, take the position that it is my understanding of Christianity and what Jesus taught that we were never to go in the name of Jesus and start war. Now, because there was a rather strong element, in spite of the fact that in my own district that people get to know me, I reach out because of the right to life position, the homeschooling position, and because homeschoolers know about the Constitution, I do quite well. But nationally speaking, this became a bit of a problem. So I was very, very grateful when Chuck Baldwin went to work, because he had the credentials where he could go out and talk to evangelicals and explain the constitutional pro-American, pro-liberty position that we don't have to endorse preemptive war.